Hello everybody, we are here today to make a boss guide for the Atavaka guild boss for the patch 2.1 Nightmare Gateway. With this boss, it is weak to electric and has this electric bonus damage, so it is designed to be a boss that you use BUI as your main DPS. But in our testing with BUI, we were kind of getting underwhelming scores given maybe just our guild's resources. And I know not that many people have pulled BUI, so I started looking around at alternative solutions, and I noticed that a lot of people had Makoto and decided to give it a try to see if we could get a score using Makoto, and was able to get a top 1% score. So I believe that it's best if we use Makoto this week instead of BUI. And since it is a bit of a more complicated boss fight, I decided I'm just going to make a full video explaining the boss, as opposed to my normal just like general write-up. So for our team, we're going to use Vino, Shun, Wonder, Queen, and Phoebe. If you do not have Phoebe, in this slot you can use Okyan instead as a replacement. And I will, as throughout the video, I will tell you when we would use which Okyan skill as well. For Wonder Personas, we would ideally want Bishamonten, and the only skill you need on him is Imperial Purge. Yanosik with Tarukaja as the only skill we need. And for our third is Succubus with Tarukaja and Rebellion. If you do not want to use Succubus, you could alternatively use, let's see, Jikokuten here, and his passive boosts attack as opposed to Succubus's crit rate. But I found that Succubus and Jikokuten have similar scores, but I currently have my highest score that I've gotten yet on Succubus, so I don't really want to reset it and swap it back. The reason we are not using Dionysus for this fight is because I currently have Dionysus set on the other guild boss. The one that you would use as closer for, I have Dionysus here. So if you're not going to use Dionysus there, you would definitely want to use him here, but since I'm getting more score on the other side, I think that it's better to keep Dionysus over there. Ideally, and then for Wonder's Knife, ideally you want Ex Machina, and start with Bishamonten. But if you either do not have Bishamonten or the Ex Machina, alternatively you would use Arc Knife, and then instead of having Bishamonten, you would just bring a high-level persona that has Rakunda. Right? For card sets, I have Vino using the Departure and Control set. I do have Vino's 5-star weapon, so there will be some instances where you see like random ailments getting added that you will not have if you are not using her 5-star. It does not affect much, it just will produce a bit higher score, so don't worry if you aren't able to follow exactly the same ailment rotation as I am. For Shun, I am using Departure and Prosperity so that we aren't stacking departure controls, and we have the Prosperity bonus highlight gauge. On Makoto, we will be using the standard, this is a borrowed, the standard Truth and Awareness set. And then on Phoebe or Okyan, you will want to use Integrity and Labor. Alright. And for turn order, you want Vino first, then Shun, then Wonder, and then Makoto. Alright, let's get into the fight. One of the issues with this fight is that Vino will get knocked down every turn due to being weak to fire, which can lead to a lot of risky situations where your Vino has a chance to get killed, leading to you needing to restart the fight quite often. And there's a few other spots here in this fight that are considered reset spots where we need to like hit a defense down or something, but they come rather early in the fight. So we're going to start off the fight by using Vino's skill 1 on the boss. And now here's our first spot where we might want to reset, is we're going to use Shun's gun. And since we're going to need it a couple of times in this fight, here I only like to use 2 bursts of the gun to get the defense down. If that does not proc on your first 2 shots, probably just reset until you get that defense down within your first 2 shots. Alright, with Wonder, we're going to switch off Bishamonten over to Succubus and Rebellion onto Makoto. Alright, here with Makoto, we are going to start the fight with a skill 1 onto the boss, applying all these ailments, making sure we get maximum defense down from Vino on her turn 1. Alright, here with Phoebe, we are going to use skill 2. If this was Okion, here you would want to use your skill 1. Now with Vino, we will use Bullseye Bomber. Now we have Highlight available, and we're going to use Queen Highlight. Shun, we will use Smashing Hit. One thing you can do here is use Icy Defense to try and make sure Vino doesn't die, but I've found that you're taking more damage on the next turn of the fight, so it's better to try and taunt on that turn, but there is some amount of turns here where the boss will knock Vino down, then target her with his second move, and then you will just need to reset there anyways. With Succubus, we are using Tarakacha. Now we will pop Mask, and we will use Makoto's skill 3 onto the boss. Right. Okay, I think we're safe. Shouldn't need to reset. Alright, now we should have our Navis back up. With Phoebe, we're using skill 2. Again, if this was Okion, you would want to use your skill 1 more time here. It's a little weird, but this leaves us the ability to set up both skill 2 or skill 3 and skill 1 with Okion on the final turn of the fight, where we have the highest bonus damage. Now with Vino, we're going to go back to using Diving Ray. This will spawn in the second of the adds. With Shun, this is where we're going to use Icy Defense for the first time. With Wonder, you're going to switch to Bishamonten and Imperial Purge. If not, if you don't have Bishamonten, just use Rakunda with your highest level persona that is not Yanoseek. Here we will use Vino Highlight. And with Makoto, we will use skill 1 to start working on killing these adds. Alright. Now, here we have Phoebe up. We will use skill 2. 2. We'll use skill 1 on... Now we're using Phoebe's skill 1. With Okyan, we would now use the skill 3. Vino, Bullseye Bomber. And now with Shun, here's where we're going to use the rest of the ammo. We are mainly targeting the boss. We're trying to get the Daunting Firepower debuff. And now, even though we've got it, we can use the rest of these bullets because we're not going to use Shun's gun anymore this fight. Right. With Wonder, switch back to Succubus and apply a Rebellion to Queen. And here we still have this one ad that didn't die, so we're going to use Sanction Drift a second time. Right. Now we have Vino's skill 1. And here is, first we're going to use Wonder Highlight. It should be the Succubus Highlight that gives damage bonus. With Shun, we have a decision here. We have our... If your Makoto and Vino are rather healthy, unlike I am, you can use Smashing Hit to apply the defense down, so that we have a chance to use Icicle Hatchet on the last turn to apply an additional element of Freeze. But right now it's a little risky, because if he downs Vino and then follow-up attacks her, she will die. So I'm going to go ahead and use Icy Defense. But in the scenario where you get maximum damage, you will actually Smashing Hit there. But that's very RNG dependent. For the people who have Phoebe, we have her back up. And here we will use skill 3 onto Makoto. With Wonder. Now we switch to Yanoseek, and we will use Tarukaja on Makoto. We don't want to use Yanoseek before this point in the fight, because using it here applies the Mark debuff onto the boss that will last for the final 2 turns of the fight, where we have the highest damage multiplier. And if we use Yanoseek before now, that Mark will get applied, and it will expire before we get to this 2 times point bonus. Now we will activate Makoto's Mask, and now we're going to use skill 3. Alright, and we just barely lived. Alright, now we're back to Bullseye Bomber on Vino. With Shun, now we will Smashing Hit. Wonder, we will switch to Bishamonten and Imperial Purge. We will use Queen's Highlight. And then we will use skill 3. Alright. And then I actually set a new record. Wow. Alright, so that's the rotation we're going to use here. It's proving to be a lot better than Yui for this boss, despite it being her boss. No offense to anybody who has Yui in our Companio, it's just that the character isn't the best, is more of a sub DPS, but can't really operate that well in this fight due to needing to bring a defender or medic due to the boss requirement. And if your score isn't this high, it's probably because you don't have A1 Makoto. This rotation still completely works with Makoto, A0. Your number will just be a little bit less. I think this morning I did it with my A0 Makoto and got about 28 million for my score. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment, or if you're in the Compendio, feel free to message me or tag me in a post. Thank you.